You are now tuned into Flippin' the Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to episode 49 of Flippin' the Birds. I'm Brian Cameron. He's Chris Infante, and today we're joined by John Barchard. I don't think you really need an introduction, man. Like,
of course I do. Nobody knows who I am.
You're the name in Philly radio. Like,
come on. There's like 1,000 people in that line. We're just here to have fun. I'm glad that I'm on board. I'm glad that there's some new Eagles podcasters, as always, out there to chat and get a new perspective on. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, but you say there's thousands of all these, radio people, but how many of them are not on the majority of Eagles Twitter's block lists? Because
it's a very fair point.
Because you're probably one of the few that are not.
Okay, good.
There are many.
I didn't even know. I'm gonna put that in my book.
There you go.
There are
many that are probably blocked, muted.
Less than a handful that's not, on the block list.
Well, that's good. Is there, who do you guys think is, number one on Eagles Twitter block list?
Oh, ESP.
Oh, wow. Ellie Shore Park's number one. Sorry, buddy.
Actually, Elliot, I think Joe probably overtook
Joe Giglio, yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny, too, is just, the funny thing is, if you guys actually found out about Joe Giglio and got to know him, you would know that, 95, and I say there's definitely 5% of shtick that's always in there. It follows us all in radio. Yeah. But 95% of the time, he's not lying. I mean, and the funny thing about that is you all loved him. And I don't work for the station anymore, so this is just honest opinion now.
Mm-hmm.
He loved Doug Peterson when you hated him. Okay, and he told you, he tried to tell you a million times that Doug was the brains behind this operation, and he's been proven right after everybody was yelling and screaming about all that stuff. And now the wave of, I don't think Carson Wentz is that good. Now, of course, he knows how to egg us on, and he knows how to piss me off immensely when it comes to that stuff, and he knows how to move that needle. But I don't think what he, and especially Elliott, in terms of that, don't bring up unfair points. It just annoys the hell out of me when, I remember sitting there, Elliott saying, accuracy. I'm like, who the fuck cares about that anymore in this day and age when you've got Jalen Reagor's speed and a big arm? Do you think Patrick Mahomes gives a shit about accuracy? Do you think he fully admitted that he doesn't read a defense, and everybody puts this importance on it like it's God's greatest gift that you can get past your first read? Wake up, everybody. The college game came into the NFL years ago. So if you're still playing catch up with, he can't read defense or he's a one-read quarterback, shut the fuck up. It doesn't exist anymore. Offensive changed. It doesn't matter. So the big playability is why I love Carson Wentz. It's probably why you love Carson Wentz. We've been through the accuracy thing. We've seen Alex Smith. We've seen Sam Bradford. We've seen accuracy. Yep. We've seen accuracy out the butt. And you know what it does? It doesn't win you big games. You know what it does? Big plays.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if any of this stuff is going to work. Obviously, and I'm sure we got a lot to get into in terms of that. But, they're looking for big plays. They've been missing it for 2 years. You guys see that? You can't rely. I love Zach Ertz to death. I love Dallas Goedert. I love what they provide to the middle of the offense. In the middle of the field. I've been desperately trying to see why they haven't been in 12 personnel for 2 years. But it's because they don't have speed on the outside, and when you rely on those two guys over and over, that's where you see the 12 and 13-yard drives, and it's boring. God dang, can't we just admit that? It was boring. I don't care where they came out of or where they went to and yada, yada, yada in the last 4 games. It's not good enough. You guys know that. It's not good enough. So if football stays relatively normal, like we're all hoping it does, there is going to be such an epic battle of stuff to talk about this year that I'm very excited about. So, a long, very long answer to what's the deal with Joe Giglio on LA Shore Park. But these are all why we love doing this stuff, and we need them. As I know it doesn't sound like it, but we need them to just make us think differently for a little bit, even if they're full of shit. So that's, and I'm full of shit. You're full of shit. We're all full of shit.
Of course.
Just having fun here. So I love you guys. Thank you.
It creates a balance in the force.
Of course. I can't
have light without evil.
Yeah,
You know.
there we go.
I mean, to be completely fair, I was before Chip Kelly. Before I was on Gus Bradley bus so hard. I wanted a change in the culture. I was like, I'm tired of Andy Reid's offense. We need a defensive line coach. And then it's
Well, let me ask you guys this, because I talk too much, so I apologize.
No,
but
trust me, Brian is happy that someone else is talking more than me.
Let me ask you guys this: if you had to redo it all again, do you think Gus Bradley would have been more successful than Chip Kelly?
I think Chip Kelly was the right choice.
Okay.
Because his moves led to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Gus Bradley.
Believer in that.
Gus Bradley. I was actually trying to write an article on this, and it just became way too. We were going to try and do a what if series, like what if, like how Marvel is now going to come out with what if, on Disney Plus.
Right.
And what if Gus Bradley was actually hired? Because he was about to be hired. He was that close, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, Chip Kelly's hired. What if Gus have cut Deshaun Jackson? What if he had cut LaShawn McCoy? Or traded LaShawn McCoy? What if all those moves happened? What if Nick Foles been traded for Sam Bradford? Would Gus Bradley really jump the ship on all those? I think.
Would they have taken Teddy Bridgewater?
Right.
Which is my biggest question. In that, if Gus is there, I don't know how much he would have loved Nick Foles. It's kind of weird that we're all talking about him and he ends up in Jacksonville out of all this. But I know there's some kind of weird irony in there. But yeah, I don't know. I think everything changes too. Don't you think, Brian? There's no way that Doug Peterson ever exists because they hold on to Gus Bradley longer than they do Chip Kelly, I would assume.
It was a perfect domino effect. I mean, like Chris said, everything that Chip did influenced the team now, even the culture now, because they hung on
the
to
NFL,
the sports
the NFL
science.
Boys, not just the NFL.
That would have been a ripple effect. Doug probably would have been somewhere else, having just as much success as he's having now.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Gus probably would have revamped the defense. The offense would have stayed the same, and maybe they're not a top 10 draft pick team.
Yeah.
Out of all that, maybe they're in the middle of the pack, and they were never in position to get Carson Wentz.
Chris, let me ask you this too. As a guy that just admittedly said he talks too much and over Brian a lot of time, how is it that Brian has a spectacular better microphone than you?
See what happened was I do have my snowball.
Okay, all right.
The connector broke.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't gone out.
Well, Chris, congratulations. You are about to get this Yeti. Please DM me your address, and I will literally send this to you because that is you need to be at least at the same level as Brian here.
Thank you. I will.
Done. Done and done.
There we go.
2 weeks ago, we interviewed Brian Dawkins, and then now I'm getting a new microphone. See, it's coming up.
It's just
coming up.
Keep interviewing the big guys. That's right.
Christmas in the summer.
See what happens when I'm unemployed in the summer.
Things happen. Good things happen. Unemployment is actually a great thing. That's what people don't tell you. Yeah.
I just tried to claim my benefits today, and I got denied. So it's great.
Hey,
awesome. Cheers.
At least they deny you outright. I mean, I've been accepted, and there's been 10 weeks of I don't know where your money is.
No. I got accepted. I got my letter, and I went on to go get my money, and I said, it's not payable. I was like, okay, it was great.
Just another hurdle in this wonderful world we live in, my man.
Great.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
Speaking of wonderful world, let's talk defense, guys.
Yes, let's do that.
Because we actually
Speaking of Gus Bradley.
Right? We actually have something to look forward to on defense for the first time in God knows how long. How many years was it, Chris, that we talked about Asante Samuel?
2011 was the last year.
So we're talking about 9 years of very bad secondaries.
There's a picture of I love the picture that was put on because a few days ago was actually the anniversary of the Nnamdi signing. And and I put it on Twitter, and someone put up a picture of Nnamdi, Asante, and DRC next to each other at training camp. That should have been the trio of all trios, and it just
still not better than Sheldon and the crew that they left behind. But it should have been, yeah. And I Brian, I'm curious what you think on this. What is the Is there anything that besides Darius Slay? Because I think there's been a lot of questions on like what this defense is going to look like with like shadowing. Jim Schwartz confirmed everything we're kind of thinking with this. Is there anything outside of that you're really excited to see, or is this just kind of more of a wait and see for you as well?
We interviewed Kayvon Wallace about a couple months ago, and the kid's energy was phenomenal. And then looking at his tape, I mean, we all kind of felt a little heartbroken that Malcolm was let go. Obviously because he was a staple of the defense, but to see Jalen playing safety now, which we're very curious about because he was a safety in college. And
you guys buying that? Hold on, you guys are buying the Jalen Mills playing safety thing?
Don't couple us into this. Brian's the one talking, not me.
No. Don't do you agree with me, okay? I speak for us, all right?
To an extent.
But listen, look, I feel like Jalen, like if Jim Schwartz is going to use Jalen the correct way, where Jalen's not such a liability anymore, like he was prior seasons, then you have Kayvon in the back or Will Parks in the back. I mean, it could be really good outlook for the safeties. I personally believe that Kayvon is definitely in the future. Towards the end of the season, I feel like he's going to pull like a Miles Sanders move, like obviously for the defense, we'll take charge of that position. But it's kind of exciting to see Mills get a redemption chance.
Chris, do you think that too? Like, just like this is what's your perspective on that? Just give me your ideal defensive optimism here, I guess, for that.
And like just going off of Mills, like if Mills is going to have success, it's from safety position. He doesn't have the speed to keep up with, and he doesn't have.
John's about to blow.
I feel like he doesn't have the eyes. He doesn't have the eyes to keep up with a receiver at the line of scrimmage. Like he's just staring at the quarterback at all times, and all of a sudden double move, and he's toast. So I feel like if you give him that space back on the back end, let him play safety and let him see what's happening in front of him, so he can maybe see a corner get burnt and say, "Oh wait, that was me before. No, I wish I had safety help like I'm supposed to be giving right now." But I'm excited for Will Parks. He played a lot of different positions. He's like the prototypical Schwartz player. He was all over the place. I feel like we replaced Malcolm Jenkins with a few other mini Jenkins.
Yes.
Kayvon Wallace was all over the place in Clemson. Parks was all over the place in Denver. Even Graylin Arnold, he's moving from corner to safety, and he could play a little bit up in the box too. So you got fast linebackers. Davion Taylor is fast as ever. Jatavis Brown, who knows if he can even play, but he's fast.
Everybody's fast. Everybody's
fast now. It's
that's why everybody thinks I'm crazy. By the way, like with the whole, we'll get in. I mean, if you want to get into the Hurt stuff, we can. But let me push back on some of the stuff you guys are saying here a little bit, because I think it's intriguing for sure, and I feel the same way that you do, Brian, about Wallace's energy, and the same thing with like Will Parks. Like having those guys there is exciting. Like it should. And I've always thought that Jim Schwartz is just on to a new thing now because he got Darius Slay, and that was clearly evident by everything that they've done, either defensively or offensively. Speed is a factor in that, but like they're going, no, fuck that. That's not good enough anymore. I want to take away half of the field. And if you guys think that Jalen Mills is a good safety, you are fucking high. And like stop it already. Like they're going to move him into different spots, I'm sure. But the reason why they got so many safeties and so many fast linebackers is because they don't exactly know what they have on that side either. Right. And I know this is hard to hear, okay? Jalen Mills' best position is at corner. It always will be. And if you put him at safety, it's a waste of time in the NFL. He might have done it in college and been okay successfully, and I respect that. But I will always, and this is where I'm in the vast minority of all of you, Jalen Mills is an excellent CB2 if you allow him to be, and he is not allowed to be a CB2 once in this defense. Not once, because you know just as well as I do, you went through that list too. It's a bunch of shitty corners next to a decent corner that makes him look worse and has to keep up with everybody. I apologize because these guys are great dudes, but your play is subpar at best in the times that you've had here, and I don't know if it's a difference between defensive back coaches, Jim Schwartz himself, the scheme, whatever it is, a disconnect between, GM and Schwartz, which obviously doesn't seem like that much of a problem because Jim Schwartz does whatever he wants to here. But like either Jim Schwartz missed or Howie missed or whatever it is. Rasul Douglas, Sidney Jones, I'm hopeful that they can stick around and be part of this depth. I think they've been through a lot, especially Sidney. I've always been a rooting champion in him in this, and he'll be in the mix in that too. But you've got to find out. To me, this is going to be about down and distance. If it's first and second down, you need Jalen Mills out there because you don't know what's going to happen. If you want to throw some weird blitz package where you have Sidney Rasul, Wallace, and Parks all out there too, and just some crazy big dime thing that you have going on, you can throw that in there too. I don't think Jim Schwartz is set on anything. I think he's tinkering around with whatever's going on that side of the field. But most importantly, do not move Jalen Mills from the corner position. I know we struggle with this. He's great if you allow him to use the skills that he has. And if you guys are saying safety, where is the makeup speed there? There is none. We've known this for a very long time. He's a guy that likes to keep things in front of him. He's a hard tackle. Rasul Douglas always gets brought up as a safety too. That would be a terrible mistake. These guys do not have the agility to play safety like the other guys you've already interviewed. You know Brian Dawkins better than I do. And at this point now too, he will tell you the same things. Like safeties and corners and linebackers have all changed so dramatically in the last 5 years that I think this defense is trying to shape up for how do you go beat Patrick Mahomes? How do you beat the Chiefs, offense, or how do you at least curtail it so your offense can catch up? And that is what they are focused on desperately not right now in this next 3-year window. So I think we have completely underrated where Jalen Mills fits in this role. It's certainly not going to be at safety. I think it's going to be at CB2. And you can all yell at me on Twitter during live game days when you're like, John, you're an idiot, and Jalen Mills is still the same.
Do you think there's a possibility where they will actually bring him back to CB? If
I don't think they're moving him from corner. And I want to make that clear because look at what they've done so far.
They did announce him as safety when they signed him.
Yeah, I know, but the same way that they're announcing Jason Peters as right guard, and you're like,
oh no.
Okay, sure, yeah, he's here for right guard, even though there's like a million of those guys that you can go and get right now. Sure, yeah, okay, not totally backup for Andre Dillard or anything. No, he's a right guard now. Remember that.
On the line, he's going to be just looking over at Dillard like,
yeah. All it takes is one complaint from Isaac Seumalo, and he's right back to left tackle. That's all it's going to take. So I think this is the most intriguing offseason since the Super Bowl, not because of expectation and not because of anything else. We're all going to be wrong. We're all going to be so fucking wrong on what they're doing. But this is not going to be a straightforward season just because of the world around us for sure. But I think they have a southpaw punch coming that we're not expecting. Not a move, not anything else. Philosophically, they have changed, and I'm excited to find out what that is.
It's very, very interesting. Yeah. Making the hamster turn the wheel in my head right now.
I do that a lot. This isn't water, so let's just be clear here. Yeah.
Hey, this isn't either. It's okay.
This is, guys. I ran out of beer, so.
See, Brian's the responsible one. That's why he's got the better microphone.
Speaking of it not being water, this is the perfect time to announce that we have a new sponsor.
Hey, congratulations!
So sponsor number 2 for Flippin' the Birds is Tavour. It's actually it's a beer delivery service that you can go on. You can go on an app. It's Tavour. You download the app and you say notifications. I want them on because they will send you notifications to your phone when a new beer is in stock. It's all highly rated. It's very rare. You got to go on and put it to your cart as soon as you see the notification because it can be gone. That's how many people are on this app looking for these beers. I'm on Untapped. There's an app called Untapped where you can check in your beers. I have like almost 1,400 different beers checked in on there.
Someone get Chris some help. I
love beer. So the fact that we got the sponsors is huge, guys. You look up the app Tavour. If you put in our promo code FTB10, that's 10, not the word 10. You get $10 off after you spend $25. You're not gonna, if you love beer, this is the app. I love beer. I just went to Finback Brewery in Brooklyn a couple days ago. And it's called People Power. All profits from this go to the ACLU. It's amazing. All of their beers are 5 out of 5 for me.
And I'll even help you out here. Tavour.com tastes unique craft beers you can't locally find. Download the app, discover your beer. Beer is delivered. It is just that simple. Now on the Apple and Google Play stores. if you're not downloading this app, you're an idiot because Chris just told you why.
There you go. We're gonna hire John at the Virgil for us.
We might as well.
I can't wait for you to talk about our second sponsor later on.
Okay, fantastic.
That's gonna be very interesting.
Don't worry about that one. We're gonna
just jump to that sponsor really quick.
We'll talk about that later. No, it's that we're gonna do a double break.
Okay. All right. So we've gone through some I guess like right side secondary concerns or like ideas, but one is, do you think that's crazy? And two, where else do you see this defense being in terms of how much we respect it? Because like this is no matter what, it's I feel like we always have 10 years in front of us before acknowledging like Jim Schwartz is actually a pretty good defensive coach, and a lot of the blame just ends up towards on his side. And I just keep looking at the talent that everyone complains about. I was like, well, one of these things can't be true. So
I think it's like a lot of things in life. When there's a lot of good things that happen, we don't really want to acknowledge it. When there's this one bad thing for every good thing, you want to acknowledge the bad thing. So we're all like zoned in on the sticks defense that happens every third and 18,
which is successful, which is 99% successful,
and then for every other team.
Third and 19, 20-yard gain. It was just, it's just.
Corey Graham or Jim Schwartz? I'm just going to throw that out again.
Oh Lord.
But Jim is, he's a great coach. He is. He wouldn't be around as long as he would. They wouldn't trust him as much. They would let him go. I know he interviewed for the Browns job, but they would have let him go last year. If he gets all these interviews and stuff, but he's
this. And by the way, this is just based on feel. Literally no information. They can't wait to be apart from one another.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
It just looks so obviously like, hey, I don't want to be here either, but we're gonna make the best out of this.
Jim is like itching to be that head coach in the Eagles, but it's not happening.
Well, they had that issue a couple of years back. I mean, right before the 2017 run, where it leaked out where Jim was hoping that Peterson would get fired and he'll get Peterson's job or something like that. Nobody remember?
Well, I mean, no, I definitely remember that because that was. I mean, Jeff McClain's been really good, and on top of that, and I will say that that's probably not without merit. Mm-hmm. I know that there's a lot of that going around, but Jeff's been pretty on. As you need the Jeff McClains in this world. I just want to point because he doesn't care. Like he just wants to get his story out, and I think that's why I will always respect that man as much as everybody. Like, again, the 50-50 thing. There's a lot of different things that I think you can take away from that, especially with the opinions you disagree on. And that's always stuck with me. Like that always. They can curtail that any way they want, but it's really weird that like, the Saturday before the Super Bowl season starts, that comes out and it was just like, well, yeah, I mean, it's not far-fetched, guys. You didn't want Doug Peterson. You did not want Doug Peterson. That I know is true, like as your first, second, and third and fourth choices. And that is evident by everyone that's failed around him, and that's why I love like pointing that out. Is like Doug Peterson, the guy that nobody wanted, out-sustained and outclassed literally everybody else that we wanted in that coaching class.
To the backup.
Yes,
choice.
Yeah. And by the way, so is Andy Reid. Like he wasn't the first choice for the Eagles organization, so they've fallen into good coaches, and the ones that they've chosen, might have moved the needle like we were talking about, but didn't completely put it together. Like I think that's been an ongoing thing ever since this thing. No one expected this success in year two. That's what screwed everything up from all the Wentz debates we have, from like where we think philosophically where this team is, and on and on and on here. Like there's this, and the thing about Schwartz that I love so much, and again respect so much, is he will not let you in on anything. He knows how to shut a fucking room down, and Doug needs to know how to do that more. You cannot get anything out of Jim Schwartz. I've seen everyone try, and they've got to dig and dig and dig and dig, and that's why some of the shit you're going to read is probably bullshit. But you have to understand how good Jim Schwartz is keeping everything in house, and they're never going to show their true feelings. Ever, ever, ever. I've always considered it a mini Ditka Buddy Ryan thing. And if you're unfamiliar with that, please just YouTube that whole thing, and I feel like that's what's happening right now. Is people kind of took credit for what did what.
Mm-hmm.
All Doug does is tell us that someone's day to day, and they end up being week to week. And if it's week to week, then they're out for the season.
Yeah,
that Mike Groves
or if someone has a job, or if someone has a job, then they don't really have a job.
They get fired the next day.
Yep. It's always a lot harder than we think, but man, just take a beat to not do that stuff. Yeah.
So who do you think is going to stand out in this defense now, this newly revamped defense from the secondary to the defensive line to even the linebackers corps?
We're not talking about Hargrave enough, guys, and
That's what I'm hearing too.
Jesus Christ, guys, you have no idea. I know we're all concerned. I'm definitely concerned about the DN spots, and I'm hoping, probably like everybody else, that we're all wrong, and Derek Barnett's going to be the absolute superstar after like changing my mind about him like 70 times. But Hargrave is
He's the real deal.
In such a great position because he was such a shining light in Pittsburgh, which still had a really great defensive line, but not Fletcher Cox. And that is something that this Eagles team has been trying to figure out for ever, from Benny Logan to Timmy Jernigan to Malik Jackson, who's, yes, still on this roster too. And I don't think you should just be completely forgotten all this, but the rotation of those guys.
Yeah, that's, oh my God.
We only got to barely, like, I was so excited about Malik Jackson coming here last offseason during that signing. You need that guy next to Fletcher, and we still haven't seen that yet. And if you're not going to get it on the edges, you might as well blow up the middle, because we know that Brandon Graham can finish if that happens, and we know that Darius Slay can hold on for an extra half a second.
And
we know that hopefully Jim Shorts is smart enough to create something that's not like the sticks defense to piss everybody off on the other side of that. So, like, I think Hargrave is the most important piece. Beside, I know, like, everybody's focused on Darius Slay, and rightfully so. Like, I'm not concerned about him. I think he's going to do his thing, and so is Hargrave. And I'm just, I hope for the first few weeks of the season we get to see that, because Hargrave is such a great – he has the same type of personality as Will Parks. It's just a little bit more reserved, and when he gets going, the city is absolutely going to love him. So I think he's going to be the superstar. Honestly, he's going to be the fan favorite pretty quickly if everyone stays relatively healthy on that defensive line.
I mean, his Instagram name is a Gravedigger.
So, him and Lane are going to get along just great. Yeah.
He's ready. Yeah, but like I have one of my best friends is a huge Steelers fan. As soon as we signed him, he was like, "You're welcome." And I looked more into him. I was like, "Wow, this is." And you could even have you could have a line of BG, Cox, Hargrave, and Jackson. Just
if you wanted to,
because Cox and Jackson could both kick out to the defensive end. And Cox, during the Chip Kelly days, he played defensive end in the 3-4, and he had his career high in sacks until 2 years ago when he had 10. At 9.5, so he can do those things from defensive end. So just who do you double on the offense?
That's the big question.
I don't know. Don't you think Jim Schwartz literally has the lotion out right now and is like, yeah, finally?
He's looking at that, especially that Giants offensive line that sucks, and that Washington offensive line that sucks. Like the first game of the season, it's just going to roll out and be like, all right, let's try and stop us. And
is there a more? That's what I'm saying. Is there a more like I only want to rush for scenario for Jim Shorts if everyone stays healthy? That's what I'm saying. Like just at the base, there's depth problems. Like people are going to get tired. It's not going to be 1,000 sacks or whatever. But if I could construct a front four that can do multiple things and a secondary that can do multiple things, that's why I'm kind of like I'm keeping the door a little more open on Schwartz, and this year more in particular than anything the offense is going to do, because I really do think they're going to look ugly out of the gate. But I think that just like usual, last 2 years the defense has stayed pretty together with this stuff, and it's with guys that he knows or is familiar with. And I don't think that you can stay the same with the offense right now. So that's going to be a brighter spot, I think, at least early on.
And a very interesting player that not too many people have been paying attention to this offseason, but they should be because of the investment that was made last season, Jannard Avery, who's going to be moved to the end.
Such a mystery, right? Like it came out like it was always touted as this is more of a future signing, and we can get him in cheap now. Brian, let me ask you this though: don't you think it's a little surprising that we didn't see him that much even after the trade deadline? Even if he was a situational pass rusher, or I can't actually remember his special team snaps, but I'm pretty sure he had to be pretty high on that if he was active. But I thought it was interesting that they didn't really. Even in bigger games, they didn't really put him out there as much, and maybe I'm misremembering that.
No, you're absolutely right. It kind of made me feel like Golden Tate all over again. I'm not gonna lie, where they made a move and they regret it right away. But I mean, we spoke to Rashad Whitfield, who's been training with Avery in the offseason,
and Darius Slay
and Darius Slay, yeah. And he's had nothing but praise towards Avery, and I see Avery as another Brandon Graham. Maybe not to that same level yet, but the potential is there. Just like the potential is there with Josh Sweat as well. But I'm very curious to see what he could do.
The fact that Browns fans, when the Eagles traded for Browns fans, were pissed. Like this guy's a diamond in the rough. They're just not using him correctly. His first game with the Eagles, he had a half sack and two tackles. So we're like, okay, this is gonna work. And then just special teams the rest of the way. It's mind-boggling because it's just like you trade for this player. I know it's more of a future move, but you traded for him at the end of October. You had 2 months to use him. That could have, it worked out because they still went to the playoffs, but still, like, you could use this guy that you spent a relatively high draft pick on. Fourth-round pick is not that late. With the type of player that you can get nowadays. Because we got Kayvon Wallace in the fourth round. You can get the impact players in the fourth round. So you spend that, and you're like, all right, you know what? We're just going to use them really for one game and just keep them on kickoff coverage for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and there's a couple of different ways you could probably take that in, but like even Brian, to your point, and like having those Golden Tate type of feelings that happen into there, we know that if the Browns fandom, and not that should be like taken for granted because I'm sure we all loved a bunch of. Like how much did we love Brandon Boykin? Like there's those elements of it too. But like
Dorial Green Beckham.
Yeah. Well, I never liked him, just for the record. So even though I thought the trade was fine, I never really liked him.
Happy when we got him.
Dennis Kelly's still out there slinging it. So yeah, like
Dennis Kelly has more receptions for touchdowns.
Exactly. Got a new contract out of that too. It's amazing. And of course, we need a swing tackle. But there is a where was I going with that? Oh, right. So we know how inept whatever the chain of command was, but certainly Mike Groh couldn't even fit, Golden Tate into this is an obvious spot you need, but wait a minute, you already have Nelson Aguilar here. There's a disconnect. Okay. And then the same thing with that where, maybe Schwartz is like, I need this guy now because look at all the different scenarios that we thought of for pass rusher this year. I was pressing the button. I was like, I don't give a shit what happens. You get Yannick here. Figure it out later. Same with Jamal Adams. Figure it out later. Young talent. All these NFL teams are jettisoning all this fantastic talent for really no other particular reason, and whatever you read in the media is just to slant your view on that particular guy anyway. So in thinking that, but now you're here, and now you're hearing, whatever, $50 million under the cap, even though that's not quite accurate, and whatever. Once math comes into the equation, I just let the smarter people take care of it. But I know that. I think he might be their answer for the cheap version, and that's why they did it then as opposed to what we're seeing now. At least that's what's entered my mind. I'm not saying it's the right thing or it's all going to work out in the end, but those are some of the moves that you go, okay, yes, we did. They didn't use Jannard Avery, so he's obviously bad, but maybe they were making sure that this point in time they knew we're going to be in a situation where you're going to have to rely on him, Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett, and a bunch of other guys because they literally cannot spend any money. We're seeing that everywhere with wide receiver, with Hopkins, with all this. They're just can we just say this together? Maybe we can all say it together. Feel free. You don't have to jump in. Howie fucked up and it's okay.
It's a strong possibility. Very strong.
Howie fucked up and it's okay.
For all good reasons. For trying to go win another fucking Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can forgive all that stuff and be frustrated at the same time and know that we don't want this further anymore. They fully admitted that this team is going to basically suck ass this year, and they're not putting any expectations out. And there's a lot of and it's a crazy season to begin with anyway. I think this has all been long-term future, but it's perfectly reasonable that Howie Roseman screwed this up by chasing another title, and I think that's okay. He didn't listen to his own advice in the combine afterwards where he said, we've looked at Seattle and we've looked at this, and I don't even just go back to remember what you were thinking about then. I don't think they did anything egregious. I think they were very aggressive in trying to go win another Super Bowl. So they missed. Now they got to adjust, and I'll give them time to adjust, but not much time.
I'm curious. How do you feel about the Jalen Rager pick?
God damn, I love it. That's like the first two picks I'm ecstatic by. Everything else is just kind of like let's see how this goes. But like
you said, first two picks.
Yeah, I love.
We can go into
the Hurts pick.
We can go into the Hurts pick. Go ahead. Yeah. We can do it.
We'll come back to. But here's the thing. We're just real quick on Jalen Rager. You guys are going to be wrong on how good he is. And I don't mean you two in particular. Just everybody is so reserved about this kid. And I don't understand why.
Oh no! I just wrote a whole article why he can win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, we're big fans of him.
I am still holding to my bet that Jalen Hurts is going to have more touchdowns. More touchdowns. I don't care if this is it has to happen in 2021 or whatever. If the league doesn't happen, Jalen Hurts is going to have more touchdowns than Justin Jefferson. Print it.
Jalen Hurts or Jalen Rager?
No. Jalen Hurts will have more touchdowns than Justin Jefferson will with the Vikings because I don't think replacing a slot wide receiver who needs to learn how to play outside is a responsible pick for a replacement for Stephon Diggs, and that's just asinine to me. There is none. I don't care what he said or what he did. We can totally relate to this stuff with the Deshaun things. You can't replace that. Mm-hmm. Randy Moss, you can't replace that. Stephon Diggs is that talented, and my God, if he didn't have fucking the worst quarterback in the world throwing to him right now, you would understand that. But like, who knows? Maybe we're all along on Josh Allen too. Just
a side note. Brian and I had a intense conversation with Elliot Short Parks about Kirk Cousins, and Elliot again is on Kirk Cousins' train.
Accuracy. What have you done for me lately? Top 100 lists. It's all right there. That's what I'm saying. We know who Kirk is, and when the outliers with including Sam Bradford, who we also, one of us tried to desperately love.
Liam Jenkins, our Lord and Savior.
Liam! How are you, mate? That was so terrible. I'm sorry. What an insult to you.
He loves Sam.
But I just think overall, the Vikings have never made the correct decision on wide receivers. That doesn't really say much about the Eagles either, because they haven't done that for 30 years, essentially, too. But, you bet on the athlete here. And, we're getting upset that they changed their process and all this stuff, and that's why I love Jalen Rager. And that he's – I don't know. It's just he looks like he has a chance to be more special than Justin Jefferson does. Yeah. I'm willing to take that bet. We yelled at JJ versus DK Metcalf versus athletics and metrics, and that's another prime example here. Is they've got enough of those guys, the safe guys, to rely on. Start taking gambles on the speed. Hightower, the same thing. Very intriguing. All that's could end up great for them. But the reason why I love Jalen, just to switch to the other thing there, Chris. The reason why I still love Jalen Hurts now is because it's short, long, and sorry, he's still the secret weapon of whatever they're throwing this offense at. I don't buy that. Did you notice how excited everyone got for literally 22 hours about explosive? All these key words that go back and watch this too, and it's all from draft night. Google it. Carson Wentz said things like explosive, the new playbook looks amazing.
That word was used so many times.
Then they shut their fucking mouth because they realized they're like, but we're not going to tell anybody anything. Please stop talking about it. It's just a normal offense. It's an offense that won the Super Bowl in 2017. They immediately abandoned it because somebody got pissed. At least that's my theory. Again, no inside information, just connecting dots. I think we're in for something very unique and different that's going to be criticized heavily, but will eventually turn out to be the right move, once their younger players develop a little more. And I think it's going to become under extreme scrutiny because Doug's got the Rona. Deuce is doing this, there's no way to really put this thing together, but I love Jalen as a part of all of that, and I love him as a trade chip, and I love him as the future of the franchise too, if it needs to be. I think Jalen Hurts is a phenomenal quarterback, and the only reason why I wasn't hyping him up more is because I didn't even think there was a possibility that the Eagles and his name would tie together. I thought somebody's going to get lucky, and then when you find out afterwards that he could have landed in Dallas, I would have cried for days. I go, oh my God, CeeDee Lamb and him back together. I fucking hate everybody. They gave an option to Dak Prescott. Now they can just get rid of him and move on because he's not going to be worth the money. Like, I started panicking, and I go, man, that would have been a deadly scenario. And with no college football, don't let anyone fool you. He is, or at least a limited version of it. 100%. He is such a valuable asset, and he wins all around. So I'm good. I'm so good with Jalen Hurts.
I think with no college football or even limited, there's really only 3 quarterbacks you're really looking at next year. That's Lawrence, Fields, and Lance. Outside of that, who the hell knows? Because you may not even have a season to look at. So that Hurts pick looks smart, as in, the Eagles didn't want to wait until next year because who knows? Because obviously those 3 quarterbacks probably go top 10.
Well, you don't have that, and look at where they're at. They're not going to get any scouting reports on a guy like Jalen Hurts. No way, not a chance. And
then it's interesting to see the Hurts pick more, especially after Marty came in. Marty comes in, and you look at the Ravens' offense. When Wentz is not Flacco, but when Marty was there, Flacco was the quarterback, and Lamar was the gadget player to come in, and he still made an impact as a rookie. So you bring that offense in with Marty, who also had experience with Shady, and you can bring him into the Miles Sanders
and Chip, and literally every spread offense that he's been a part of in 10 years. We're not putting that together. Brian, did you also notice that everybody was like, oh, I guess Carson was ditching the old vegan diet, now he's bulking up.
He's Carson Waits.
There's a reason, dumbasses.
He finally had an offseason to just train.
No, he's preparing for the new offense he's going to be in. You do not just go from I'm going to be vegan and just make it through with the same offense and then go, nope, I need to bulk up. Why do you need to bulk up? Because you're going to be shedding a lot of guys off of you, right? Okay. So
it's very interesting. That's a pretty good take. I'm not gonna lie. I'm overthinking that Carson put on weight because he's finally healthy in the offseason. He could.
He's been eating all that. He's been eating all that.
Please feed me some deer meat and let me shed these 300-pound assholes off of me.
It's been deer and elk ever since That's lean meat.
Yeah,
that's terrible. So you want would you like to introduce John to our second sponsor?
Ooh, you guys got 2 sponsors already. Look at you.
Sometimes you gotta, keep yourself nice and clean cut. It's so this is what we're looking at. Screen.
Oh, look at this. Oh, of course. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Manscaped, fellas. Right. Trim that shit up.
Now that sports are back, things are lightening up. Maybe not in Jersey anymore because Murphy's starting to crack down on some things now. But you could still go out and hang out and still meet the ladies. If you don't have a lady yourself, you're gonna need to have your Manscaped game on point. So what you're looking at right now, if you're not on YouTube right now, you're looking at their nice grooming kit right now. $14.99 nail grooming kit. Seems a little expensive for a grooming kit, but you're in luck because you use our promo code FTB. You get 20% off.
Oh, look at that! Quick math. Let me see if it's still. Oh, well, there you go. Let me just check my calculator here. Yep,
that's $12 and plus free shipping.
Mm-hmm. So that's the key thing. Everything.
Or if you think that your night is going to be a little bit more exciting than you thought it was going to be.
Ooh.
Here's the perfect package 3.0. Again, don't even look at that $90 price because 20% off, that's $18 off. That's quick math right there.
That's basically free. By my math.
Here is the Lawnmower 3.0. Look at that. Look how sleek that thing is. It has a light on it, so you can shave yourself in the dark.
Yeah, the LED light is phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie. I love that thing.
Be honest. When is the last time you escaped your man in the dark?
I usually have lights on, but
I was like, the lights there for like some detail. Maybe I like that aspect of it.
you never know if you maybe you have this in your pocket or something. You know, you go to a lady's house
Wait,
after the bar, and you're like, oh, you know what? The lights are out.
sounds like the uncut version of American Pie.
Maybe during a storm like today, blackout, power went out. You still got to get your things done. So let's go.
Power went out. Sorry, that was good. I like Chris. You are on point, man. I'm already in.
You never know when this thing gets in handy. You never know what life throws at you. So if life throws at you a special person that's gonna go take a trip down to you know where, you gotta make sure that landing strip is nice and smooth. So go to manscaped.com, FTB at checkout, 20% off, free shipping. Tell them we sent you. It's not gonna get you anything. Just tell them that we sent you, and just have fun.
Yeah, and like, don't be scared off by the 7,000 RPMs. That's a good thing.
Oh, that's
by the way. But with the lawnmower here,
that's a great thing. I'm like if you have experience with manscaping or with other razors, you know that once you get around the scrotum area, you don't want to touch that because then you're going to be bleeding everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's going to be
it's horrible.
This thing is so delicate while still making sure every piece of follicle is off your scrotum.
And Chris, just in case your balls are a little sensitive, that's why this is great, because they have the crop preserver, the anti-chafing ball deodorant that's infused with aloe vera. And as somebody that has used aloe vera probably millions of times in their life due to sunburn and everything else, I can't imagine how that feels after a nice clean shave and you just need to go out for the night. And, you know, I appreciate what you guys are doing. Clean that shit up. Seriously. If you're not on that train, you have been way off of it for like 20 years. It's time to step up your game, fellas.
100%. As a phys ed teacher who's always on his feet, moving around, I don't need no chafing during the day.
Yes.
I don't need to be waddling around like a damn penguin.
And his wife doesn't need to smell that either when he comes home. So
that's right.
That's why he uses Manscaped.
We're trying to make baby number 2 over here. I need to make sure it's down there.
Love it.
Manscaped.com, FTB, Flippin' the Birds, FTB, 20% off.
And may I say, I'm not even obviously it's your guys' sponsor. Mm-hmm. But the Manscaped is fantastic. If you're looking for a solution, it is the no joke. Like, forget like the Con Air trying to do the ball shave with the hair clippers and that too. That's disgusting. You know, like I've seen too many roommates do that, and we all have to do what we do. I'm not judging either, but I'm just saying this is a much better version of that where you can keep your face and balls away from each other. Right. Okay. All right.
That's right. That's code FTB, 20% off, free shipping. There we go. Went from flipping the birds to flipping the balls.
Let me see how you segue out of this one, pros.
So speaking of balls, how many balls do you think the secondary will intercept this season?
Oh, man, I mean, Chris, are you not? I mean, you need to pay Brian more. What an amazing that is how you do it in the business. Yeah, I think it goes up, don't you? I think it's only logical that it goes up with this kind of new look, and if I'm that passionate about Hargrave and Slay being here and kind of them curtailing that, and along with whatever
and a corner being overlooked on Nickel Coleman.
Hey, John, quickly, since Asante Samuel has been gone, who is the leader in cornerbacks for interceptions for the Eagles?
Ooh, let me think about this for a second. Okay, since Asante. And then we went through 2012 was the last year, right? Along with that,
2012 was our first year without him.
First year without him. Let me see. Since he left, it's going to have to be snaps. So it's got to be somebody in the Chip Kelly era, because they had so many snaps that it's got to be that high, because no one else was able to do it. Bradley Fletcher got toasted too much, so I'm going to say that that lies with Scones. I'm going to go with Scones.
Ronald Darby.
Oh, man, wow. It's that bad. It is that bad.
Six interceptions in 3 years. Next, Russell Douglas.
That's unbelievable. 5. Everybody from this era.
The man who gets no snaps.
Do you know who's below? Who's next to him?
It goes Darby 6, Douglas 5, Kerry Williams, 5.
Oh, I was so fucking close, though. Come on, a little credit.
You got a little bit. Jalen Mills has 4. Patrick Robinson has 4 in his 1 year with the Eagles. 1 year, 4.
That's wild.
With one of the biggest ones of all time.
That's right. That's right. Nolan Carroll, 3. Bradley Fletcher, 3. DRC, 3. Since 2012.
Horrible. And if Darby had 9-inch hands, he'd have like 12 of them.
Right.
So, yeah.
But that's how abysmal our quarterback play has been. Our leader since 2012, by the way, is Malcolm Jenkins with 11.
Of course, that makes the most sense. Let me flip it back on you.
Cloud.
How many, and I'm talking multiple years with the same guy, how many times do you think in the Eagles wide receiver has broken 1,000 yards in the last 25 years?
Well, you got Macklin.
DJ.
2.
DJX. You have T.O.
3. Yeah, that's 20 years, right? Yeah, 3.
Riley Cooper. No.
Riley Cooper came close but didn't hit it.
Curtis came close, or did he hit it?
Kevin Curtis hit it.
He hit it.
Stop thinking that's it. And like even if you go back to like Arkansas Fred and all that, there's maybe like 6 or 7 like in the history since like the post merger. And
kind of the same with 1,000-yard rushers. I mean, you got McCoy, and then I don't think Westbrook hit it once. I think.
Yeah. Which once again just proves my point, which is, fellas, yards don't matter. Because you can't. I mean, the Eagles teams have been so successful without yards. So
right, that's like when Rager was picked, everybody's like, there's a big argument. He's never going to be the 1,000-yard receiver. We don't need him to be. Like, there's so many options on this Eagles offense that you don't need one guy. Like, how many times have a Super Bowl winner had either the MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year? We don't need that standout player. Yes, Wentz should have won it a few years ago.
Sure.
But, when has a team really had won it without star player? Last year Mahomes was a star player, but he wasn't MVP. But it was like, it's always been a team effort. That's what this Eagles team is right now. They have like so many complementary pieces around them which I want to segue into it. I want to get your opinion on a move that happened today, or was it yesterday? No, it was today. We don't need Rager to be that guy. He could be a 700-yard receiver. We haven't had a rookie do that in so long.
I need him. Here's your mentality with Jalen Rager. I need you to catch 3 out of every 10.
There you go.
If you catch 3 out of every 10, that is 20 plus. We're good. If one of those 3 is a touchdown, we're way good. So like, that's what you got to be looking at there. The same like when I was mentioning, Wentz and the accuracy things. Get me fucking 7 out of 10 big plays, big boy, and that's all I care about. You can have 2 or 3 of the shittiest drives in the world. Just get me touchdowns, and that's all I care about. So yeah, I think it's very interesting what the explosiveness back into it, which we're desperately all seeking on either side of the ball. Like I still think most yards, most interceptions, most yards for a wide receiver, most interceptions for a corner is always in play in any year. This one specifically, because I think they actually might have some talent out there. So it should be fun.
Well, one topic that people were a little on fire about today was Shady's gone to Tampa.
Why is everybody? You should be thanking your lucky stars that he's in Tampa.
I will admit, I thought he would be the perfect add to the running back room.
Why?
He has a very valid point, and blew my mind on a live podcast. It blew my mind for a second. It stumped me.
I looked at the statistics, and wherever Miles Sanders was lacking in yards per carry, like right tackle, right guard.
Sure.
I looked throughout the whole line. Wherever he was lacking, Shady picked it up last year. And I get the whole thing that in the playoffs, Andy was like, yeah, let's not play him. But
I get the whole thing where you weren't important in the most important stretch of football. Yeah,
I get it. But like when you're looking at a complementary piece, you're looking at someone who can do what you can't to make that offense whole. And people were looking at Miles like, oh no, we need a guy who can go between the tackles. Miles Sanders averaged 6.5 yards per carry up the middle. last year. So you're looking at. I mean,
let me ask you this: did you compare that with what Jordan Howard did comparatively?
Jordan Howard, I don't want to talk about it because I had such a man crush on him, and I loved.
This is just completely ignored. It's like, well, look at LaShawn McCoy and what he was able to fill what Miles Sanders couldn't do, and then you didn't go and check like his counterpart and what he was doing last year.
Well, just because Jordan Howard's in Miami now, we hate him now.
Well, I hate to say this, but Shady's in Tampa, so
now we hate him too. And now we can give 25 away. It doesn't
well, they're not going to because they want to retire for some dumb reason. But
I still don't get why they're trying to retire that number, but not Westbrook's.
What the hell do they owe Shady? Anyway, I that would have been one of the worst decisions they could have made. A useless running back with a history here that like wants to like let him go have fun with Gronk and Tom down in Tampa. Like whatever you need to do, bud. There's too many running back. I'm there now. I didn't used to be this guy, but now I've changed my mind. Running backs are so useless, especially when Shady's situation. Like I would rather you sign Nelson Aguilar back for $900,000 and put him in the backfield than put Sean McCoy for $1 million.
Like that's a strong take.
It's useless. It's a waste of money. Like at least he can kind of catch and do stuff out of the backfield, and be involved in a playoff game. I don't care what LaShawn McCoy does. This rooting interest that we've always loved, the nostalgia of him, and like to a point it got to Deshaun Jackson levels when we were all missing him too. I'm fine when they were gone, even though if it was for really ridiculous reasons. So, like even if it didn't work out, that LaShawn McCoy left when he left the Eagles. I'm fine.
So are you good with this running back room, or are you ready for Devontae Freeman, or are you ready for
I like when the Eagles, when Doug Peterson got upset that he couldn't sign Carlos Hyde for like $4 million, pretty much tells you everything you need to know. They don't want to spend money there. And it just goes back to what we were saying before. Like they just might be strapped and I am fine with it because Corey Clement can't get injured 3 times and have 3 season-ending injuries, right?
Never know. Not with this team.
I don't know. Yeah.
We are on our 4th medical staff in the last 4 years. So
yep, and new D-line coach and new wide receiver coach, and who knows what else is going on in there. So familiarity is good, but like not that kind of familiarity.
Mm-hmm. So how you feeling about Miles Sanders and Boston Scott being a 1-2 punch?
I like Miles speaks for itself. I don't think that's pretty straightforward. I'm really excited to see what now he's way more comfortable and we can have that, rookie rest kind of set to the side. And I know everybody's going to have big expectations, but he is the new modern day Westbrook in every single part of it. And you shouldn't pay him after that. I just want to make that clear. As good as he's going to be, do not pay that man after, and you're going to say probably the same things with all the worries of what's going on in Carolina and all that stuff. You just can't do it anymore. So I look forward to like what he's going to do. Boston, I've always loved his mentality, probably like you got enthralled with Kayvon when you interviewed him too. Every time where I was able and fortunate enough to go into that locker room and just be able to understand him more, and that's what's great about practice players is because they're obviously way more open. They tell you their true feelings and a lot of the stuff just off the record, just to see what he was going and what his mentality was. And then guys to come in and Kevin Clark from The Ringer was in there one day and talking to him about what it was like to go through the Saints practice squad because he was working on a big national story. And it was just so nice to hear a different perspective outside of Philadelphia. And he was always a straightforward type of guy. Like you remember him joking right around when Le'Veon Bell released that rap album. I just kind of went around to see if anybody else would have the balls to kind of do that. And it's so funny now that Corey Clement obviously released a rap album after being like, oh, I would never do that. And I was like, I knew you were in there, but he's legitimately good. So you should go listen to that. But same thing with Boston too. He's just just one of the guys, and that's why I think everybody roots for him in the same way. So I don't want that to get in the way of his skill set, but I think his skill set is is awesome. The bullshit thing that he got compared to is Darren Sproles because he's not. No one ever will be again for another 15 to 20 years probably. That's how special I think he is. But he definitely knows what's at stake, and as long as he continues to provide the same stuff that you guys have seen and we've seen so far, I don't see why he can't be running back number 2. And I think that's why they feel ultimately confident in saying goodbye to Jordan Howard. And even though I think that was a plan to begin with from the beginning, but Boston can be that guy, and you see those happen all the time. I mean, we didn't think the same of Corey Clement when he was going through what he was going through in training camp. He was the 4th or 5th guy on the bubble. He was fighting Wendell Smallwood at the time, who was like the best running back in camp until Garrett Blunt actually started trying, and then the entire media changed their perspective.
Hey, put some respect on Doug Peterson's leading rusher in his tenure.
No, absolutely. I love
Smallwood has the most rushing yards in.
Shout out to Fly64 if you're still out there, buddy.
I haven't seen him in a while. Actually.
Yeah, I don't know if you're around anymore, pal. But if you are, Wendell is still strong in every neighborhood that you travel in. So, but that's just they're never. My hope is the Eagles will never spend money on running backs ever again, because you don't need to. I think all these different hybrids that they brought in is exactly what they need to do. And call me stupid, but what Press Taylor has mentioned before in the past is they are definitely doing that. Like, don't get that twisted either. You're going to see multiple throws. They're going to be the first ones to do it. That's been my biggest prediction for this season is in a weird year, why not throw something at you that you're not ready for at all? Mm-hmm. And between Greg Ward and between all these other different guys, there's no way they're just saving that for one game. So, yeah, between all this different stuff, all the running back, wide receiver, hybrid stuff, even Boston Scott, maybe he gets involved in that too. But I like their running back.
We're gonna have a Scott Killens back.
Yes, there you go.
We're gonna have a 5'8"